Hi, my name is Danny Aronson, and I'm Tuned CEO. Tuned is the first comprehensive hearing benefit for employers and employees, offering hearing health solutions from prevention to intervention. We are the largest online group of audiologists in the US, operating in all 50 states and serving tens of thousands of employees. In this series, we showcase some of the incredible solutions offered at no extra cost or out-of-pocket expense on the Tuned platform. Today, I'm joined by Melanie, who is the founder of BLUEMOTH. Melanie, great to have you here, and with Dr. Heather Malyuk, who is our head of audiology. Melanie, thanks for joining. Heather, thanks for joining. And Melanie, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about BLUEMOTH?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you so much, Danny. So, yes, I am an audiologist, and I created BLUEMOTH really because I saw a giant void in the marketplace between consumers being able to get hearing healthcare in a traditional brick and mortar audiology clinic, and then, the rise of OTC coming into the marketplace. So I really loved the accessibility, the affordability, the convenience of OTC. But for those that needed more medical oversight, I wanted to marry, the best of both. So I created a direct to consumer hearing wellness brand in BLUEMOTH. And so we've been really excited to be able to partner with you and your members to be able to provide the convenience and affordability from home.
I've always wanted to ask you this. Where did the name BLUEMOTH come from?
Ah, yes. So
Because it's
really,
unusual. It's a beautiful name. I was like trying
mhm.
to figure out where you came up with it.
Thank you. Yeah. So I was really inspired by our first tagline, which was live life full frequency. And so we were thinking and doing a little wordplay of things that were very high frequency. Ultraviolet is the highest frequency color, but it's not the best brand name. So blue is second on the list. And then moths and owls have some of the best and highest frequency hearing in the whole animal kingdom. So when we started to put all of these words together on a list, those were the two that kind of came to play. I didn't want anything that was too on the nose about hearing or audiology. I wanted there to be a little bit of playfulness and curiosity. So that's how that arose.
I love that. And I think it's really kind of one of the things that I think that really kind of got Tuned and BLUEMOTH really gelling well together is the branding that you guys have done. There's something very fresh, very contemporary, which is what Tuned is trying to do, is really kind of move the conception of hearing from this like, oh yeah, it's old people only, it's relevant, or it's kind of, old school and old fashioned, to something which feels contemporary, because it is for everyone. It is certainly relevant for everyone.
Yeah.
And that was one of the big things in the beginning was really, our companies, really collaborated beautifully because of the fact that we want to shatter that stigma and we want to normalize and help people see that this is like everyone has ears, it's a common human issue. So how can we make it something that is accessible and fun, and not something where there's a sense of shame, but also like actually creating a sense of beautiful identity and pride.
That's wonderful. And it's been a real treat to work with your company. We just
Thank
have
you.
great things to say about you. And I think for those listening who aren't aware of how this process goes, if they're seen by a tuned audiologist, and we kind of handle the triage and guidance and education, and if we decide someone is a good candidate for prescription hearing aids, and we send them over to you, send them over to BLUEMOTH, what happens? For
Yeah.
the person listening, if they think, okay, I'm not fully understanding what BLUEMOTH is, what's their journey from that point?
Totally. And this is what's really exciting and has made it very easy for our company, honestly, is that by the time that your members get to us, they've already had either a hearing screening and or a full evaluation. They've already spoken with one of your clinicians, and they understand that their needs exceed an OTC and that they really need a prescription hearing device. So they're highly motivated, they're already educated, they're already aware. So by the time they come to us, really, we're just again saying, Are there any questions about your hearing loss or the prior, recommendations for prescription technology? We answer any of those, and then we go ahead and start moving forward with learning more about themselves, their lifestyle, their priorities, where they're experiencing hearing challenges and or tinnitus concerns. And then from that, we start making an assessment and a recommendation for the technology that we think is going to be the most appropriate for their needs, so they can be really successful. So we make that selection together. They get to see what it looks like. We get to select color, all the fun parts of it, and then we place that order for them. Once we place the order, we stay in close contact with them regarding when the devices have been received by us, programmed by us, because it is a prescription, so we need to make sure that it matches their prescription individually. Then we send it to them. We do an unboxing together, and so they're never alone. They're always being, kind of handheld as much as they need or want, so that way they feel safe, comfortable, and that all of their questions are answered. But during the unboxing, we make sure that they know, okay, what are the parts of the device? How do I put it on? How do I pair it to my phone with Bluetooth? How do I, access the app? All of those things, and all of our technology have Bluetooth and they're rechargeable. And so all these neat features that they're really excited about. Then after we do that, we just make sure that they're comfortable. We go ahead and set up a typically 1 week out follow-up appointment, because especially if they've never worn technology before, which is typically the case here, there's so many new things and they're going to have to get used to it. And so there might be things that they like. There might be some sounds they don't love. And so on that 1 week follow-up, we can actually remotely program and wirelessly communicate into their hearing technology and real time make any and all adjustments that they want. So really that we just, we're very close in contact with them during that period of time to make sure everything's good. And yeah, we're readily available. What's also nice is that for the life of the devices, that same aspect is true. If they, a year later need tweaks or adjustments, they can just contact us. We can remote in and make those on the fly. One thing that's really important too is that your members are working. And so the fact that this can be done very quickly and remotely, they're not having to take off extra time for work. This could be just a quick 15-minute break or portion of their lunch, and we can just remote in, fix what they need, and they can go on with their day.
Yeah, I love that. It's really ideal for the workforce. And I think you've taken a lot of really wonderful aspects of traditional audiology care and you've brought them into this century, which is really important for this working population. Not everybody wants to go down the street to an audiology clinic. It might not be there.
Assuming there is an audiology clinic.
Assuming there is one.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly right, Danny. And we should let people listening know that almost 60% of the counties in the US don't have an audiologist. And so, Melanie, your company is really filling a need there, but also you're making it cool and you're making it accessible, which is great. I think with that type of setup where you have, everything's remote, if you had to say who the ideal candidate was for this type of care, do you have a certain perfect person in mind who would do really well? I mean, what have you been seeing since you started the business?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's really important to mention is that, if somebody has a really severe hearing loss, if they're needing anything that's surgical, like a BAHA, which is a bone anchored hearing aid, or a cochlear implant, those are things that are not ideal for remote teleaudiology. But most of our consumers are Gen Xers, young baby boomers, even as I call myself, a geriatric millennial. So they're busy, they're fast paced, but most of them are pretty comfortable and competent and confident utilizing technology on their own with just a little bit of guidance and assistance.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And in terms of the devices themselves, I know Danny and I have seen questions come in from folks about what these devices are like in terms of warranties and care and things like that. Is it really difficult or is it pretty easy? I guess is one of the main questions we get.
Yeah, so it's very easy across the board. So we work with top of the line hearing healthcare manufacturers. So our hearing aid vendors are Widex, Phonak, Signia, and what did I say? Oh, and Starkey. I'm like, which ones did I forget? And all of them come with 3 years of repair, 3 years loss and damage. We have a 45-day, no hassle trial period. So from the moment that they get them, we work really closely to ensure that they're successful and happy. But to that point, let's just say a year down the road, something's wrong. All they need to do is to contact our customer service. We go ahead and take care of everything needed in order to get that shipped, serviced, and sent back to them as soon as possible.
Beautiful. That's great. Well, we are, like I said, it's truly a treat to be partnered. And I think it's really nice for individuals to know that if they come and see a tuned audiologist online, that there are a lot of different options. And if something OTC is not the right fit for them, that we have you. And
Thanks.
now they
Yeah.
know who you are and they know about your company. And so far, I mean, this sort of what's the word I'm looking for? So I don't want to say setup, the structure. It really is easy. It's very modern, very easy. And I know that individuals who do remote tweaking of hearing aids and fittings are quite happy. And so on that note, I guess my last question would be, is there anything else about your company that I haven't asked? That anything you'd like to
Yeah.
share?
I think the only other thing, and I know we've mainly focused on the hearing loss side of things, but tinnitus is an incredibly common issue and concern where someone has ringing, hissing, buzzing in the ears. It may be present with or without hearing loss. And so just knowing that Blue Moth, I mean, I love tinnitus patients. That's been my passion for the last 15 years of working with patients. But when members have tinnitus, letting your members know that it's not just for hearing loss, but also for tinnitus challenges as well.
Awesome. That's a very important point. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So thank you so much, Melanie.
You're
And
welcome.
just to give a sense for people watching this in terms of how the process works, once your employees are signed up to Tuned, they sign up to do a hearing screener, which they can do in their own home. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And then they have a consultation, what Heather calls triage, which is the first consultation with an audiologist. And if the audiologist determines that that individual could benefit from a prescription hearing aid, then it's all internal within Tuned. They get referred to Blue Moth and to Melanie and her team, and they will set you up just like Melanie said. It really is 21st century care. Everything comes to your home. Everything is done online. It's friendly. It's easy. These are Bluetooth devices. You can use them on Zoom calls. You can use them on Meet calls. You can use them outdoors. You can use them whenever you need them. And there is a very robust support system around it. We understand that hearing aids are not glasses. We understand that it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. I think one of the things that we do very well, and we're seeing that in terms of just like returns, don't know if I shared this with you, Melanie, but we have a very, very, very low return rate for products that we actually ship to members because we're setting correct expectations. I think one of the things that people really get frustrated is that they think that there's some magical instrument that they're going to put in their ears and they're going to hear like, perfect hearing like when they were 6. That doesn't exist. And
Yeah.
you can improve, we can amplify, but I think really setting expectations, and what was critical to Heather and I kind of designing Tune from the get-go, you are constantly being guided by audiologists. Whether it's Heather or Kathleen or any other member of the team, whether it's Melanie or somebody in her team, these are people who understand deeply what this looks like. And I think setting expectations really sets people up for success, which is what we want people to experience. We want them to have a great experience and understand how this can really improve their both their personal life and their work life.